Recording in progress.
Good afternoon and welcome to the webinar Utilizing Used Fashion to Reduce Fashion Waste, which is the first free event of Swasta Mita. I am Oriza Sativa and will be your host for today's event. This webinar is expected to give fashion consumers an overview of sustainable fashion's implementation shared by the experienced practitioner. First of all, I would like to deliver the proper greetings and warm welcome to the participants, lecturers, guests, and especially the amazing spokespersons joining us today. Dr. Azliza Aris, the Senior Lecturer Design Study at College of Creative Arts, University Teknologi Mara, Mr. Rizman Rahman, the CEO of Modest Trade Company, and Mrs. Diana Rikasari, the Sustainable Fashion Influencer, also a designer and owner of Eyewear Up. In this very special occasion, Telkom University is collaborating with University Teknologi Mara, Modest Trade Company, University Putra Malaysia, University Kuala Lumpur, University Sultan Zainal Abidin, and Polytechnic Malaysia. Not forget to mention, this webinar is sponsored by Eyewear Up and Your Hands. And the rules for the webinar today will be listed down in the chat column. Please read it carefully. These are the few guidelines to ensure we have positive and conducive webinar experience. Now I will be reading the agenda for this event. First, we have opening and introduction, singing the national anthem and the march of Telkom University, messages from the Dean and the Chair of the Lecturer Coordinator, presentation from the spokesperson, Dr. Azliza Aris, Mr. Rizman Rahman, and Mrs. Diana Rikasari. Q&A, photo session, and closing. And before we start the agenda, let us all bow our head and pray according to your beliefs and practices. Pray, begin. Finish. And now we will be singing Indonesia National Anthem, Indonesia Raya, and the March of Telkom University.
Satukan tekad bersama, padukan langkah, bawa bangsa menuju
garis depan. Raih cita radu asa, sing-singkan lengan, tingkatkan inovasi, unggulan dan prestasi. Semua demi keluhuran bangsa, masyarakat adil sejahtera. Laksanakan pendidikan dengan semangat pengabdian, ciptakan kehidupan gemilang. Telkom University, kebanggaan Pertiwi, maju dengan karya, berperan bagi bangsa, bagi Indonesia, bagi dunia. Telkom University, sinergi bangun negeri, maju dalam ilmu pengetahuan. Satukan tekad bersama, padukan langkah, bawa bangsa menuju garis depan. Raih cita rajut asa, sing-singkan lengan, tingkatkan inovasi, unggulan berprestasi. Semua demi keluhuran bangsa, masyarakat adil makmur sejahtera. Laksanakan pendidikan dengan semangat pengabdian, ciptakan kehidupan gemilang. Telkom University, kebanggaan Pertiwi, maju dengan karya, berperan bagi bangsa, bagi Indonesia, bagi dunia.
A little notes to appreciate and to boost everyone's enthusiasm. We have prepared a giveaway in the form of a voucher for the 10 participants chosen by the committee. Now, we will listen to a speech from the Dean of the School of Creative Industry and the Chair of the Lecture Coordinator of Telkom University. First, please welcome and hear the speech from the Dean of School of Creative Industry, Dr. Roro Ratnawulan, SOS MPD. To Mrs. Roro, the time is yours. To Dr. Roro Ratnawulan, SOS MPD, please take your time.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Mrs. Roro, please unmute the mic first. We cannot hear you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, thank you for joining with us, all of you, in international webinar. This is the pre-event of Swastamita, and the theme today is utilizing used fashion to reduce the fashion waste. This is a very useful and very good and important for us to know about how the fashion can be the part of utilizing everything that used in to save our earth. And today we have our speakers. Thank you for our speakers, Dr. Asliza Aris, Senior Lecturer, Design Study, University Teknologi Mara, Malaysia. And thank you to Bapak Risman Rahman, CEO of Mode Strate Company. And also thank you to Ibu Diana Rika Sari from Sustainable Fashion Influencer. Oh, this is the Sustainable Fashion Influencer, a designer and owner of I Wear Up. Okay, thank you. I'm so sorry today because I don't bring my glasses. So if I pronounce your names wrongly, I'm so sorry. And also, I welcome to our collaboration partner, University Teknologi Mara, University Putra Malaysia, Polytechnic Malaysia, University Sultan Zainal Abidin, and Mode Strade. Okay. And also our beloved I'm sorry. Let me see the name. And also our beloved moderator, Ibu Faradila. Okay. And thank you to my student here, which from the fashion design, Telkom University, and also from others university that collaboration with Telkom University for joining this event. And today event, I hope it will become our, let me see. I'm so sorry. This is because I don't bring my glasses, so I cannot read clearly. Okay. Oh, okay. The public webinar today is try to giving understanding and sharing experience, okay, by the experienced practitioner and also the fashion customer, and also how our study program, the best study program in Telkom University, try to see this discussion as implementation of sustainable fashion. And I hope with Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, this event can be successful and also can giving us more insight and also can give motivation to the student and also to the lecturer, all of you, as our issue today is increasing the concern of sustainability issues. Thank you for joining and welcome. And also with Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I open this international webinar as a private fund of Swasta Mitra. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Roro, for the delightful speech. And the next, please welcome the chair of the lecture coordinator, Mrs. Ahda Yunia Sekar, SSN, MSN, will deliver her speech. So, Mrs. Sekar, the time is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and participants, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. I stand before you today as the chairman of this committee to warmly welcome you to our webinar as the part of Swastamita event. Swastamita is an annual event for craft and textile study program Telkom University. It is a privilege to see so many enthusiastic individuals and scholars gathered here virtually from around the world to engage in an intellectual discourse of great importance. First and foremost, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our partner universities for their unwavering support and collaboration. Your commitment to advancing education and research has played an instrumental role in making this event possible. Your presence here today is a testament to the enduring spirit of partnership in academia. I also wish to express our profound appreciation to all our distinguished speakers. Your expertise, insights, and willingness to share your knowledge with our audience are the lifeblood of this event. It is your dedication to your respective fields that enrich the discussion we are about to embark upon. In the spirit of collaboration and shared learning, let us embrace this opportunity to exchange ideas, challenge our perspectives, and collectively contribute to the betterment of our academic community. Once again, thank you our partner universities and all our esteemed speakers for your invaluable contributions to this webinar. Your presence here today sets the stage for an enlightening and productive event. Without further ado, let us begin this journey of collaboration. Thank you and enjoy the webinar. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for the speech, Mr. Sekar. On to the next agenda, I would like to introduce our moderator for today's event, Mrs. Faradilah Nursari. Mrs. Faradilah is a lecturer from Craft, Textile, and Fashion program at Telkom University, and currently is a researcher in the field of sustainable fashion. From now on, until the next few agenda, Mrs. Faradilah will take over the event as the moderator. To Mrs. Faradilah, the time is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our seminar today on utilizing used fashion to reduce fashion waste. My name is Faradila, and I will be your moderator for this event. We are delighted to see so many participants here today to discuss this highly relevant topic. Before we begin, I'd like to make some practical announcements. First, please ensure that your microphones are turned off to avoid any disruption during the seminar. Also, feel free to use the chat feature to ask questions or share insights during the session. We have a number of expert speakers in the field of sustainable fashion who will be addressing us today. Each speaker will be given 20 minutes to speak, and then we will provide time for questions from the participants. Questions can be submitted through the chat feature or by raising your virtual hand. Before we delve into the speaker session, let's first define what we mean by sustainable fashion. Sustainable fashion refers to the practices that minimize the environmental and social impacts of the fashion industry, including the use of eco-friendly materials, sustainable production, and attention to workers' rights within the supply chain. Upcycling is indeed a part of sustainable fashion. Upcycling is a practice with sustainable fashion where old or discarded clothing and materials are transformed or repurposed into new products, thus extending their life cycle and reducing waste. Each speaker today will discuss different aspects of sustainable fashion. We hope the information shared today will give you a better understanding of the importance of sustainable fashion in the current fashion industry. Without further ado, let's begin with our first speaker, Dr. Azliza Aris. Dr. Azliza Aris is Senior Lecturer from Faculty of Art and Design, UITM Shah Alam. She also supervised many distinctive research in fashion design, sustainable design, and Malaysian fashion as well. In our first topic, Dr. Azliza will explain the meaning of sustainable fashion, its implementation, and its urgency in the fashion industry. Dr. Azliza Aris, please present the urgency of sustainability in the fashion industry. Time and screen is yours. We will open the presentation for Dr. Azliza. Please wait for a minute. Okay.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear your voice clearly.
Okay, right. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you to the moderator, Ms. Faradila. And firstly, I would like to thank for inviting me to this webinar. It is a pleasure to be here with others in the fashion field. Okay, let me start with a simple note from Will I Am. Okay, waste is until we waste it, right? So let's take a look. We can utilize use fashion to reduce fashion waste. Next, please. Okay, part of this part of practice also refers to sustainable fashion. How or when the concern on sustainable fashion started, 1960s, where people were already concerned about the environment. The issue highlighted was about cotton growing and processes in textile in the industry, in the textile industry that cause environmental damage. So this issue is not a recent issue. It has started earlier in the 1960s, where people are concerned about the environment done environmental done by the industry, fashion and textile industry. Then there was a debate on human rights and eco-efficiency. Environmental pioneers, I argue that the approach ecosystems as a whole should be considered in the whole process to as part of the sustainable fashion. Ethics are the philosophical basis for making choices about morals and values. And when we talk about the cheap labors, child labors, and safe environment practice in the industry. Okay, and today in the 2000s, the discussion are more. The discussion takes us to action, implementation, of eco-design and the green impact in the fashion industry. So the criteria of a sustainable fashion includes clothing that not only reduces the impact on the environment, but it's also mindful of the people who work to produce the garments. So fashion that is ethically made and environmentally friendly. So it's not just about the process, the materials that we're going to use in fashion, but it is much more ethics involved in the whole process and the environment. Next. Why is sustainable fashion important? Number one is of reduced fashion waste. And this fashion waste is built up from 1 billion garments produced each year, where 92 million tons end up in the landfills. This is equivalent to a rubbish truck full of clothes that ends up on the landfill every second. So how this becomes a problem? When consumers throw away clothing in the garbage, months are wasted, and it takes more than 200 years for the materials to decompose in a landfill. During the decomposition process, textiles generate greenhouse methane gas and leach toxic chemicals and dyes into the groundwater, into the water and our soil. So this is how our environment is become polluted by the industry. Next. How can we help? Okay, we are the fashion industry and in the education, in the academics. So experts conclude there are 4 ways or approaches to sustainable fashion. First one is ethical fashion, circular fashion, slow fashion, and conscious fashion. Okay, ethical fashion, as it sounds like, it involves a lot of ethics in the process, in the procedure, in the production, producing the garment. Okay, where the working conditions, fair trade practices, morals and values, where no human or animals are being hurt in the process or in the production. Okay, and then we have the circular fashion, where there are garments that being upcycled, recycled, and thrifting. Right? And then there's slow fashion, slow fashion is, of course, the opposite of fast fashion. And we as consumers or as designers, we consider the product life cycle. We may design the product that has longer life cycle and stay longer in the market. We can share and rent clothes instead of buying buying every time or buying so often. So we buy less clothes, and then conscious fashion to buy eco-friendly products and support green fashion movement. So in our environment today, in our landscape today, all these four are very are relevant and is being encouraged by the fashion industry. Okay, next. Okay, and then what more can we do to help to reduce fashion waste? So what we have in our closet, we can reuse, repair, care, and we can, whenever we want to buy, we can buy quality over quantity, or we can buy if you used to buy like 10 clothes every day, you can buy less. You can also rent your clothes, shop, print, sell online, upcycle, and donate. So I think in our everyday practice, many of us have gone all through this process and practice in whether we are aware or unaware of the direction of sustainable fashion. Okay. And then, okay, what I want to share with you guys today is how we in our department started the project of upcycling the material that we have or what we have in the house. To start off the project is actually, we started it because of the COVID-19, because we were all trapped during the MCO, and we had to stay in house. So, but school was on, and we had to we had to prepare the project. So, when we were in the COVID-19 situation, and we have to teach and learn at the same time, so we threw the idea of upcycling the fabric that we have in the house. So there are three things that we thought of and made the students think when they wanted to use the fabric. So number one is design, right? What kind of design that they want to produce for this project? Is design for empathy, design for well-being, or design for low impact materials and processes? So all these three were involved in the project. And what was the production like? Design for zero waste, design for longer efficient use of materials and resources, right? And the last one is use, design for reuse, design for disassembly, and design for upcycling and recycling. And all the criteria or they were there in the project to support the project, right? So we used all of the criteria to start up the project. Next, please. Okay. So here I want to show two projects, which is one is the casual jacket, a very straightforward project from from year 2 students, and another one is a creative upcycling project from the final year student. Projects use denim and heavy material or medium to heavy weight material as the basic upcycle. Okay, so the projects involve the use of cycle material. Number one is a visual jacket on my left, and on my right is a creative fashion design garment, which was produced for the final year project. The aim of the project was to produce a creative fashion garment using upcycled materials. Next slide, please. Okay. Process involved in both. Although the first project seemed to the first project is seemed to be less difficult than the fifth project, but it involved the concept, the theme or the objective of the project. To getting inspiration and ideas of what we want to produce, and the set, the colors, the combination of fabric that we want to have, and then the fin, of course, we limit it to material like denim and heavy or medium to heavyweight material, and then the pattern making that involves flat pattern or draping, or they can the student can also use both techniques to produce the work. And then 12 or sampling to test the fit, to test the look of the material and the whole combination that we have used, whether it is okay or not. And then, of course, the final garment the student has to provide. Okay, so the designing activities for idea development, such as sketching and fabrication ideas, may differ depending on the individual and what they want to produce at the end of the day. Next. Okay. Realizing the ideas from 2D to 3D. These are the process or the steps that we use to get the ideas, or to get the project done. Okay, number one, choice of explore potential, experiment, detailing, and construction, fabric lay and cut and making up. Next. Next, please. Okay, I hope everyone can hear me clearly because my internet is quite unstable here. Can still anyone hear me, or I'm breaking?
No, you're fine.
Okay. Okay, number one, choice of material. So when we want to do this project, what we are looking at, number one, is the material, the choice of material, because we need, when we do upcycle project, strength and durability of the material is important, because we don't want to choose the wrong material, or we don't want to choose a material that is already has defect on it. So your waste is a waste of a good material. And then character, weight, stretchable or non-stretchable. So that is also important, the combination of the material that you want to use in the project. Because if you are combining stretchable and non-stretchable, there are techniques and technical aspects that you have to look at, in which that, you're sewing or combining two material of different characteristics, might not get a good result out of it. So, and then colors, of course, because you are redesigning the look of the new garment. So perhaps perhaps you want to mix and match some colors, or you want monochromatic colors, meaning if you are using denim, you only choose the monochrome denim colors instead of, you know, having other types of material that have almost the same weight of different colors. And then quantity, how many garments that you needed for the design. So this is also quite important because you don't want to be, you know, left with uncertainty, because when you're cutting and all that, you need to know this much garments that I needed is enough for my design. So when we started the project in MCO, that was quite difficult because not many students had enough material, and they had to sacrifice their own their good denims to this project. But when the MCO is over, there are lots of ways reuse denims or upcycle that we can get. So it's much easier for us to start the. Okay, so next, explore the potential type of fabrics that you want to use. Consider the character of the fabrics, like I said just now, the coordination, the weight, the color, detail of the design, whether the upcycled garment that you use, whether you want to keep the details, to remove it, or to add different or a new detailing to the redesign jacket or final product. Okay, next. Experiment. So the fabric that you wanted to use, you can use the fabric as is, or you can enhance the fabric with any and embellishment. Whether you want to make a raw finish on the seams, the edge, or whether you want to bleach the fabric, or if you have white fabric, white heavy cottons that you want to dye. So it's up to you to do the embellishment and the fabric treatment. And then number 4, of course, you need to detail your ideas in drawing, in technical drawing or in sketches. Maybe you have to sketch first. You need to plan what are the design lines, where you want to have the fabric cuts and all, and where you put the detailing on the fabric, on the garment, I mean. Next. Okay, and then when you're doing a creative project, of course, you need to sketch in detail, because you see the colors, the combination of colors and fabric element or fabrics this work, to see whether on paper or as they look okay, or whether it need more in the process. And at the same time, you can also put the technical side it to see what are the draft pattern making, pattern construction later. Okay, next. Okay, this is another sample of technical drawing that the student plan with lots of patches and on the jacket and on the trousers. So and she did the technical drawing and the construction of lines on the. She planned such a way to see whether the same fabric can be used, the same kind of fabric can be used front and back, or where to put this particular fabric on the as paneling to join with another type of fabric. So those are the numbers that been stated there on the technical drawing. And on the right side, you can see the sample that she did to see whether combination or how, when you combine all these triangles in body, the front, the back, whether it suits what she had original plan, whether she wanted to proceed with the idea or she wanted or made modification to it. Enough fabric to try out and to make sure that when it comes to the actual one that you have enough to make successful one, because you never know. Maybe when you put the pocket shape there in the middle of the back bodies, and then suddenly you wanted to do a different one, you don't have that same pocket anymore, and you have to dig out from something else from a different pocket, and when you put it there, you will get a different effect to the whole look. So the disadvantage of upcycling the design is maybe you cannot have the same look more than once, right? To try out. Okay, next. Okay, the final making up will of course involve pattern construction, whether you're doing it on flat pattern or you're doing it as draping the pattern and copy to transfer it onto the material. So here, this pattern is from the jacket pattern, so it's very much straightforward. The student constructed the pattern according to the panels that she wanted to use. And then next, she put it on the fabric which she has already deconstructed. Next slide, please. Okay, here you can see the fabric, the jeans or the denim trousers has been deconstructed, right? It's been unpicked, put on flat lay, and she put all the patterns on the fabric according to the panel type of fabric that she wanted to use on her design. Okay, next. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, thank you. Okay, the next slide is also similar to the one to the is how the pattern onto the trousers, onto the denim trousers, and placement of the you see on the second photo. She wanted to remain the side seam on her pattern, so she put this on the paper pattern to make sure that it divides it the design that you wanted to do. Okay, next.
Dr. Azriza, you have 5 more minutes.
Okay, thank you. Right, see, this is a toile. The toile is made on a draped pattern, draped fabric on calico. But later, if you see the left sleeve, you can see that how denim is embellished with that to see the effect of the sleeve, whether it suits or not with the. So here the toile and the fitting focus on flow of assembling the garment, sewing techniques, and solve technical problems. Next. Okay. Next one is the final look of the jacket. These are a few designs from the class from semester from year 2 students. Next. Next slide is the critique from the final year students, And the last one is also a creative project from the final. So you can see the level of difficulty from the very basic pattern made from the jacket to a creative garment. So I would like to conclude the topic. Next slide, please. As a conclusion, the final this utilized fashion, I mean the reuse material for garment, you can it is doable, right? It is doable. Anyone can, and if you are committed to make that commitment of sustainable, so it is not something that you cannot do. It is something that you can do if you try to practice and adapt to these ethics and eco-friendly practices. So it will help our making environmental sustainable changes and help our future in for a better environment. And I think the last but not least, in Malaysia there are also a few brands that are already involved with the sustainable, and they are doing quite well in this. And I hope that the awareness become much more better in the future. Okay, thank you very much. That's all from me.
Thank you, Dr. Azliza, for the valuable insight. Now let's move on to our second speaker, Mr. Rizman Rahman. Mr. Rizman Rahman is a Malaysian with more than 10 years of experience in promoting the global modest fashion industry. Mr. Rizman is also an associate partner for the Indonesian Modest Fashion Week. Mr. Rizman is also the founder of modestrade.com, a digital platform for global modest fashion industry. In our second topic, Mr. Rizman will explain his perspective and consideration on designing a strategy for a sustainable fashion business. What are the long-term benefits of implementing sustainable business in the fashion industry? And what are the main challenges faced in the running a sustainable fashion business in the fashion industry and how to overcome them? Mr. Rizman, please address the topic of business strategy on sustainable fashion. Time and screen is yours.
Thank you very much, our beloved moderator, Ms. Faradila. All right, everyone can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, so thank you. Firstly, thank you to the organizer of this webinar. My name is Rizman Rahman from modestrade.com. Basically, I'm presenting about the sustainable fashion business. I'm trying to explain or talk about from the point of view of business for the sustainable fashion industry. Okay. Anyway, thank you very much, Mr. Muhammad Fawad Nouri, my friends, because joining us for this webinar from Pakistan. Thank you very much. All right. Okay, can we start?
Yes, please.
All right. Next slide, please. Okay, this is as an introduction for the my presentation. This is I put in the infographic way, so everyone, the students or all the participants in this webinar can get a picture why we talk about sustainable fashion, especially in the industry or in the business way. So this is the infographic that I get from the our goodbrands.com. It's purposely for the fashion impact. So basically, it's a statistic or the figure, the numbers that from the fashion industry in Australia, so the nearby our country from Indonesia and Malaysia, it's Australia. So basically, this is why we talk about the sustainable fashion, because in Australia itself, everyone, or not everyone, it means the fashion lover, the fashion lover buy or get a 27 kilogram per year for new clothing. So basically, this is something like we can get new clothing every month or every year or every festive season. But then basically the statistic is about 27 kilo per year for one fashion lover. So, and it's only wearing 7 times on average for each garments. So basically, they buy new garments, most of it wearing only 7 times, or maybe only 1 times wearing the garments that the new garments. So basically, it's turned up about 500 tons per year, 500,000 tons per year, and up at a landfill in Australia just for the clothing. So basically, when we talk about sustainable fashion, means that this is the statistic that we should care, or we should take responsible in the industry itself. So as a student, to become a fashion designer, I believe that you should take a responsibility to the industry when you become a fashion designer or become in the fashion industry itself. Okay, next. Okay, so today I will get into 4 agenda. First is what is sustainable fashion. This is very basic. Then the strategy for the sustainable fashion business. And then the third one, it will be the benefits of the sustainable fashion business. And then the most important that I want to explain or share about in this presentation is the business idea for fashion students. What you can do as a fashion student, to have or to get involved in the sustainable fashion industry. Okay, next. Okay, basically fashion, sustainable fashions, everyone talk about sustainable fashion. I believe our first speaker has already talked about sustainable fashion, but I would like to highlight about the SDG. So it's a sustainable goal development. So basically it's an effort from the United Nations, UN. And then when we talk about sustainable fashion, it's not about the fashion itself or the production or the consumption, the clothing consumption itself. So it's from my research or from my finding that sustainable fashions will include these 7 elements from the SDG, from the Sustainable Goal Development. Okay, the first one is the clear water and sanitation. It's a number 6 element, and then the number 8 elements is a decent work and economic growth, and the number 9 element is an industry. Number 12 element is responsible consumption and production. The number 13 element is climate action, and then it's a life on land, and last but not least is a partnership for the global. This is important because when we talk about sustainable fashion, it's not about like involving in the production, involving in the fashion design, involving in the consumer consumption. Actually, it's a lot of things that should get involved in the sustainable fashion. Okay, next. The next agenda, the next slide. Okay, so how you can this is as a general finding on the strategy to become a sustainable fashion designer or get involved in the sustainable fashion business. So basically, the first one, what you can do is the material selection. I believe that our first speaker is already talked about it just now, but I just go through about the material selection because this is the involving in the production, fashion production or manufacturing. Okay, so the designer or the fashion design, as a fashion designer, you can get the eco-friendly or sustainable fashion like organic cotton or recycled fabric or low impact dye which is there's eco-friendly dye for fabric that you can use. The second one is reduce, reuse, and recycle. This is also already get highlighted by our first speaker. And then the third one, okay, the third one is a supply chain transparency. Okay, this is something like a global issue, which is we as like a fashion brand or fashion designer, when become a big player in the industry. So you involve in the manufacturing of the clothing. So you need to have a supply chain transparency to ensure that your factory, your manufacturer, your supplier is ethical, is something like doesn't get involved in the environmental issue, because there is an issue in the global fashion industry before the sustainable fashion getting a hot issue. Maybe after this, all the participants or the students can Google about the Rana Plaza factory. The Rana Plaza factory is one issue, which is Rana Plaza factory is located in the Bangladesh. It's a clothing factory. It's a clothing factory for the fast fashion, such as H&M, Primax, or Zara, or something like that. But then there's an issue in the because the Rana Plaza collapsed. I didn't remember when it's collapsed, but it kills more than 1,000 people and injured about 2,500 people. So basically, the Rana Plaza is a clothing factory that didn't practice the ethical labor. They use child labor, they underpaid labor, something like that. So because of this issue, Rana Plaza collapsed, and then the big brand or the fast fashion brand get more, what we call this as a for the sustainable fashion or ethical labor or sustainable fashion clothing factory more important for them. And then after that, then all those big brand try to get a supply chain transparency for their clothing. And then sustainable packaging, of course, this is something like to get less usage of the plastic. Basically, the packaging come up with something like a one-time use plastic. So it's basically it's not a sustainable movement. All right, next. Okay, this is the important, the consumer education. So beside of you doing the recycle, you doing the eco-friendly materials, the ethical labor, the most important is consumer education, because when we talk about sustainable fashion, then you as a fashion designer produce a sustainable fashion, but then the consumer still doesn't understand or doesn't have awareness of what we call is as fashion about the sustainable fashion. So it doesn't work at all, because it's important when you produce a design or the clothing or the product is related to the sustainable fashion, but you don't have any consumer that want to buy the products. So the process will start at the production also. So it's important to get the consumer awareness and educated with the sustainable fashion. The next element is innovation. So basically, it is an opportunity for the fashion design to innovate new things. Currently, something like I would like to propose for the fashion school student is learn about the 3D printing, digital design, sustainable textile, or you can get into the AI in designing. Okay, so it's something what we call it as a new things that will be useful for the next 10 years, next 5 years, but then it's a good for you. It's a good for the sustainable fashion business. And the next one is a certification and standards. Okay, this is more on the industry itself, for the manufacturer, the material or fabric producer. So last but not least, the important is the collaboration. So we don't want the fashion student or the fashion school doing something sustainable fashion, but then it's not collaborate with the local community. It's not collaborate with the corporate. It's not collaborate with the local government. So something like I said before, if consumer doesn't aware about the sustainable fashion, and then the local community, the NGO, the corporate, the local government should aware about the sustainable fashion. So it's important you get along or you get partner with the NGO, local government, local community. Currently, we have a social media influencer to get involved with the sustainable fashion. So whatever we plan or whatever we did in our fashion school or as a student of fashion design, so we get support from the ecosystems. Okay, next. Must be everyone asks why we should get the sustainable fashion business for the fashion design or for the fashion design. So basically, the most important is of course the environmental conservation. So the important is environmental conservation, because whatever we did, whatever we plan for the sustainable fashion, of course, is for our environment. The next one will be a brand and brand reputation. So when you become a fashion designer or when you become a fashion brand owner, so if you put in the sustainable fashion elements in your fashion brand or in your product, so there will be a brand reputation. Of course, it might be it's not popular in our Southeast Asia, but then sustainable fashion brand or element in Europe or in America is more popular. So there is opportunity in Europe or in America for your brand. And then you don't worry about the awareness of on the sustainable fashion in your brand or in your product, because there's a lot of potential market for your product. Okay, next. Like I said, innovation opportunities. Yes, of course. It is important. It is opportunity for you to innovate new things. You innovate some kind of like a design. I'm not expert in the fashion design, but I'm have experience in promoting modest fashion industry. So basically, if you have something like innovate new things or new design with the element of sustainable fashion, of course, it will be accepted in either now or future, or in future, or it's not in Indonesia, it's not in Malaysia, but then there is an opportunity in other country. Okay, and of course, if you are promoting the sustainable fashion business, it's not only the local government will accept or will recognize, because I believe there is opportunity from the other country or from the United Nations. There is a grant or a special fund for whoever business promoting the sustainable fashion. So if you are promoting sustainable fashion now, it should be you get along with the local community or the ministry, the science ministry or sustainable goal development NGO have a fund for you to grow your business and promoting the sustainable fashion. Next. Can we go next slide?
Mr. Rizman, you have 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes. Okay. I think I need to go next slide. We straight away to okay. This is the statistic for the potential of the sustainable fashion. Basically, in the worldwide, sustainable fashion will go for currently have a 6.5 billion in economy, but then projected in 2025 will be a 10.1 billion. So there is opportunity for your fashion brand or for your sustainable fashion product to market worldwide. So don't worry about the market potential, because there is a lot of opportunity out there. Okay, next slide. Okay, this one. Okay, this is the business idea. What the fashion student can do. This is the first one. You can start a fashion brand right now, and then utilizing the digital platform and social media for your brand and promoting sustainable fashion product, or creating contents for the DIY sustainable fashion product, or create awareness through the sustainable fashion, because this is the simple way that you can do as in the point of view of business, create a fashion brand and promoting sustainable fashion. I believe if you start now, not after your graduation, but you can start now as a student, and then it's an opportunity. There is a lot of opportunity for you to get along with the local government or the NGO to collaborate. Okay, the next one. Okay, this is the next idea. You can have you can host a fashion event. I believe the faculty or the fashion school already did this, but then I would like to highlight you need to get to get connected with the local community. One thing that you can do is offering redesign service for the community to redesign or refashion their clothing or their collection. Okay, the next one. Okay, the last one, the business idea for the fashion student. This is very good business idea. Okay, you get along or contact with the corporate, the CSR. The CSR should have a fund for the community project. So from fund from the community project, you connected with the local community, collect all those like if here I give you an example as a collect all denims, and then get together with the local community to use denim like a bag or pouch or something like a merchandise, corporate merchandise, and then return back the merchandise to the corporate who give you fund. So this is the full cycle of the sustainable fashion activity, which is involving the corporate, involving the fashion school, the students, involving the local community. You can get involved with the local government as well to doing the sustainable fashion activities from the point of view of business. Okay, if you come to Kuala Lumpur through the KLI 2, there is a one shop lot that promoting or selling some kind of like a merchandise from the used denim, and the shop lot is a collaboration with the charity or NGO producing the backpack from the used denim, and then sell it to the consumer at our end. Okay, I think that's it from my side. The next one will be the last slide. Oh yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you. Terima kasih. Hatur nuhun to all the participants, and hope it will be benefits to all, especially for the fashion school student. And thank you. Back to you, the moderator. Mogia manfaat.
Salam Sunda, Mr. Isman. Very good Sundanese. Better than mine. Okay. Thank you for your valuable perspective. Last but not least, I would like to invite Mrs. Diana Rikasari. Mrs. Diana Rikasari is an influencer and designer in sustainable fashion in Indonesia. She actively engaged in retail industry through her brand, I Wear Up. Today, Diana is an active in the upcycling fashion scene, having launched numerous upcycling capsule collection under her own household name, Diana Rikasari. In our last session, Mrs. Diana will share with us her insight as an influencer and designer about the main motivation for influencers to support and promote sustainable fashion through their platform. Challenges do influencers face in promoting sustainable fashion amongst the trend domination? How can a designer create an attractive yet sustainable product? How can a designer influencer help change consumers' perception of the price and worth of sustainable fashion products? And how to raise awareness among fashion consumers to extend the lifespan of fashion products? Mrs. Diana, please address the topic, influencer designer response and role in sustainable fashion. Time and screen is yours.
Hi, everyone. Hi. I hope you guys can hear me clearly. My name is Diana Rikasari. I am from Indonesia, but I'm currently based in Switzerland. So I am a fashion designer. I run two brands. The first one is I Wear Up, and the second brand is Diana Rikasari under my own name. And I also happen to be a book author. I wrote the book 88 Live Life. I hope any of you knows these books. And I also wrote My Rainbow Days, which is like books for kids about mindfulness. But enough about myself. Let's talk about sustainability. So next slide, please. So I started my journey being an entrepreneur in 2011, in which I started the brand called I Wear Up. It focuses on shoes. So it's a small brand. Basically, I design and make shoes, and it's been running well ever since. And then 5 years later, I had this thought I have been running this shoe business for 5 years, and I feel like maybe this is the time where I can be a bit more ambitious. And I was thinking, as an Indonesian at that time, I didn't see, well, in my opinion, I didn't see any really cool, big clothing brand. And my idea at that time was I want to have a brand, a clothing line brand that can be as big as Zara or H&M or Topshop from Indonesia. So that's why in 2016, having the confidence of successfully running I Wear Up, I launched a bigger brand called Shumai Limo. And the it was a very ambitious plan because like the production scale was massive, the investment was massive. So I was very ambitious at that time. So we made clothing lines and we started directly to promote in Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore. And we did fashion. In 2017, 2018, I started to read articles about sustainability, about the harm of fast fashion. And then I watched the documentary, The True Cost, and other documentaries that talks about the harm of fast fashion. And then it hit me that like, oh, wow, so fast fashion is bad. Whilst my intention of launching Smiley Mo was to become the biggest fast fashion brand from Indonesia. So at that time, I had a very big dilemma. Like I realized that the intention was no longer aligned with my newfound values. That like this is not right. I should not make a fast fashion brand. So after thinking about like what to do, because I felt like it was no more like I didn't believe in it anymore, I stopped Shimani Mo in 2018 completely because I was like, you know what? I just have to be honest with myself as an entrepreneur. I have to have good moral values. I have to think about the environment. I have to think about the future. And running Shimali Mo was not the best strategy or idea. So because Shimali Mo was supposed to be big, I thought like the intention from the beginning was already wrong. So that's why I stopped Shimali Mo. Whereas Eyewear Up was a small shoe brand. So I thought like there were lots of tweaks and adjustments I can make to Shimali Mo to make it more sustainable. Hence, while I stopped Shimali Mo, I reevaluated Eyewear Up and tried to make it more sustainable. Next slide, please. So there was like 2 years of thinking of what I can do with Eyewear Up. And in 2020, we went ahead with a completely new direction. So we changed almost everything, the branding, the packaging, the materials. We switched to more sustainable materials. For example, we produce our outsoles from recycled tires and rubber materials. We made our heels using recycled plastic bottle caps. We use paper like packaging waste as our embellishments on our shoes. So there's a lot of materials on our shoes that are actually made from recycled materials. And for packaging, we eliminated plastic, so we don't use plastic at all. All the wrapping papers, the brown papers are all recycled paper. And we also encourage our customers to repurpose or reuse our shoe boxes so they don't get thrown away, because apparently from what we read, a lot of the waste in the landfill are shoe boxes. So we felt like, how do we make sure that people do not throw away shoe boxes, is to encourage people to like, why don't you keep your shoe boxes and use it to keep your stationaries or accessories? And we made sure that the shoe box is also nice looking so that people don't throw it away, and yada yada. And in Eyewear Up, we also make like t-shirts and shirts. And so we made sure that we switched to better materials. We use organic cotton, and for the printing, we use eco ink. So everything in Eyewear Up is made using better materials for the environment. And we are also small scale. So we don't produce in a big volume, because I think the main problem that people often overlook about fast fashion is not about the materials, oh, it's polyester, oh, it's viscose. It's more about the quantity. It's the waste that comes from the large number of production and the number of unsold items that gets thrown away in the landfill. So Eyewear Up is a small scale business, and we are proud to say that we only produce very few quantity per month to make sure that it's not mass and there's no waste or like overstock in our business. Next slide, please. So moving forward, I think that we have to realize that we are all responsible of taking care of the planet. As a customer, as a consumer, as an influencer, as a fashion designer, as a business owner, and also the government. Like, we all are responsible of taking care of the planet. There's no blaming one another. We all have to work hand in hand. So as an entrepreneur, we have the first thing to start with, I would say, is to have good moral values. Like, you can't just start a business by saying, oh, I want to make this because it looks pretty and I want to generate money. I want to get as much profit as possible. I think if the intention is solely because it's about you, what you like, what you want to get out of it, then it feels like a selfish business. We have to think about the planet in mind. We have to think about the community and the society in mind. So you have to start with good intentions, and you have to have a good moral compass when you're starting a business, because you want to make sure that everything thinks about the impact towards the community, towards the people who works with us, towards the environment, and so forth. And as a customer, we also have to make smart choices. Like, we can't just say like, oh, this product is so cheap, I'm just gonna buy it, it's so trendy, I like it. But you have to be more critical in reading the materials, like, oh, this is made from polyester, it's made in, I don't know, maybe it's made in China, it's made in a factory that we don't know how they make it. So like, we have to be more critical in like, where is this clothing item produced in? Let's Google about the company. Is it a good company? Is it a good brand? What material is this clothing item made of? So we have to rethink about our shopping habits and purchasing habits. And number two is, I think that we have to take a stand against fast fashion. I think it's just sad because every time I travel to different countries, you're always just going to see the same old brands everywhere. There's always going to be Zara, there's always going to be H&M, there's always going to be Mango. This fast fashion is just dominating the whole world. And the thing is, it's cheap and trendy and people want to buy, but that's where we have to take a stand against fast fashion and say, I'm not going to buy anymore. Like, I have stopped buying fast fashion completely for 4 years now, like not at all, because that's how I take a stand against fast fashion. I only buy from small local brands, or I buy secondhand clothing items, or I make it on my own. So because if we always get carried away by good designs with low prices, it's just never going to stop. We have to do something about it. And we have to just like look around and realize that the reality is there's just so much waste out there in so many countries, especially in third world countries where they just dump clothes that are unused. And you have to just see, like, there is just so many clothes in this planet, and we cannot encourage fast fashion brands to keep producing more and more and more new materials because we have enough. And as an influencer, we also have to take a stand against fast fashion by declining endorsement or collaboration opportunities, because I still see there's lots of influencers on Instagram or TikTok who happily do shopping haul from Shein, working together with H&M, collaboration with Zara. And like, this is not the right message that you're sending across to your followers, to your platform. Like, what are you trying to encourage for your followers to shop fast fashion? So you have to like just stop looking at the money that you're getting out of this collaboration, but putting forward more of your values and encourage people like, you know what, I'm going to decline this offer because I don't believe in this anymore. It's harmful for the planet. So with that, we have to encourage the right behavior. What is considered a good behavior when it comes to sustainable fashion? Well, less shopping, buy secondhand, buy from small brands, reuse, repurpose. I myself, I'm an upcycling designer, so I make my designs using only secondhand materials. I do not buy any new materials or new fabrics at all to produce what I need or what I want, because there is just already so much materials or clothes on this planet that we can reutilize and reuse to make something new. And I always show this on my platforms, be it Instagram or my blog, or I don't have TikTok, anyways. But I try to encourage the right behavior, because like, we need to educate, and as much as you can, try to educate and be consistent with your communication. And the last one is as a fashion designer, it's important to redefine sustainable fashion, because if we talk about sustainable fashion to most of the people around us, their idea of sustainable fashion would be like those linen dresses that come in muted colors, either white or like earthy beige color tones. and they're running on an island, and it's just like a very plain dress, and it's just always the same look that comes to mind. Oh, sustainable fashion, linen, plain dresses, white, earthy tones, beige. And I'm like, that's not the whole point of sustainable fashion. While that can be an option for sustainable fashion, why is it white or beige? Because you don't want to dye your fabric, because you want to avoid the chemicals used for dyeing your for coloring your fabric. That is an option, but you can also take a different approach to make sustainable fashion more fun. Like, why do you have to use linen, which is basically also producing new materials, if you can already use materials that already exist in this world? So you can use secondhand clothes, like what I do. Find them in secondhand shops, ask for donations from your family and friends who no longer use their clothes, collect them all, collect from people, and then look at like, what can I do with these clothes that already exist? Chop them up, upcycle them, redesign them, turn them into something new. And because of that, you are not even at all producing new materials, and you are not limited in colors, because you can use any color you want, because it already exists. And I think the thing is why this is important, because we want to make sustainable fashion items interesting and appealing and not boring, because if it's always boring looking, the same old white linen stuff, people are not going to buy. They're like, this is so boring. Like, I want something more relevant, more fun, more modern. So make designs that are more modern and relevant and trendy, because sustainable fashion items can be trendy depending on how you redesign it, depending on just just think out of the box. There's so many things you can do through upcycling that can make your clothes look more modern and relevant for the current era and for your segment, because you want to approach to as many people as you want, not just like people above 20 or 30, but also the teenagers, the Gen Zs. So you want to make sure that you are able to read the segment, what kind of clothes they like, and produce those kind of clothes that they like, but using environmental friendly materials. Next slide. So this is just an overview of my upcycling clothes items under my brand, Diana Rikasari. So in this photo, all the things that I make here are, they use secondhand materials. So what I do usually is that I go to secondhand shops. I get as much like sweaters and t-shirts and jumpers, whatever I can find, denims in the secondhand shop. And then I try to just cut them up, chop them into pieces, make a patchwork together to create new texture, to create new patterns. And as you can see, upcycling can be as colorful as you like. It doesn't have to be earthy tones. And then a lot of times I get questioned but when you buy secondhand materials and when you chop them up into small pieces and you combine them and stuff, there's always going to be a lot of leftovers, like the small cuts, the small pieces that don't get used. What do you do with that? I always use those to use as, for example, a filling for a cushion or to make dolls. So basically, even the scraps, the leftover pieces that you no longer use, can be still repurposed as a filling for pillows or for dolls, for something. I even made a lamp using small patchwork and stuff. So there's lots of things that you can just make using existing materials. And this is why I feel this is my personal take. I think upcycling is the best approach to sustainable fashion, rather than talking about oh, let's grow organic cotton, let's use hemp, let's use natural dyes, let's use this. But for me, it's you guys are still producing new materials. Why don't we just use what's already here on the planet? But that's debatable, but that's my personal take. Upcycling is, for me, the best way to move forward for sustainable fashion. And I would not like to say more, because I am more interested in the question and answers with you guys. So that is the end of my presentation. So next slide, I would just like to say thank you for listening, and I hope it was valuable for you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Diana Rikasari, for your valuable perspective. It's very interesting. And clearly in the chat, we have a lot of students that are your huge fan. So they are cheering for you. Okay. We will now open for questions in a few minutes. So please submit your questions through the chat feature and I will read them out for our speakers. Or you can raise hand and ask directly. However, as I check in our chat, there's already a lot of questions. Maybe we can start from, so I'm going to choose some of the questions and I will read it. Okay, first is from Mr. Muhammad Fawad Nori, which is, I believe, is Mr. Rizman's friend, colleague, is it? But I think what Mr. Muhammad Fawad Nori is asking is about Dr. Azliza's presentation. So he is asking if the group project with her students is a group project or an individual project. If it's a group project, how many students are involved in one group? And also, how is the project timeline, the duration of the project, and what are the process to collect used garments? Maybe I would like to invite Dr. Azliza to answer the question because I think this is specifically for her.
Hello?
Hello, Dr. Azliza.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Okay.
you.
Hello. Assalamualaikum, Dr. Fawaz, was it who gave the question?
Yes.
Okay. The project is an individual project, right? So to start and finish the project. So it's quite a long time. I think that making a product in such a way 40 projects, but actually 4 weeks of their timetable is only a week. So they have to do it continuously in 14 weeks. So each student were given the task and a timeline, and we kind of arrange for them the timeline so that they did not go overboard with the time that is given to them within that 14 weeks. So at the end of the 14 weeks, it will be the assessment of the final product that they produce.
Okay, maybe the last question is, what's the process to collect used garments?
Well, for the students, they can ask from friends, like what Mrs. Dana meant. You can ask for from friends, from family, to for the used garment, for the used fabric, or here we have a lot of second-hand shops, so that will also cut their cost of getting the fabric from to get a new one. So they bought off from the thrift shops to get the suitable material. And some of the students also work with organizations, charity organizations who like we have one organization that is actively collect secondhand here in Malaysia, and we used to have a collaboration with them. So, that's how we get the secondhand garments from the society, from the community.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Azliza. I hope that answers Mr. Fawad's question. Next, we will move on to the question from Salma Halimatus. I would like to ask, what are the challenges or obstacles during the production process? I think this is for the question is for the three of you, because I think the three of you are involved in production, especially in sustainable fashion products. So maybe we would like to hear from Ms. Diana Rikasari. What are the challenges or obstacles during the production process for your products, especially?
For me, I think because I produce all the upcycling clothes all by myself, the biggest obstacle would be sourcing the clothes, because sometimes as a fashion designer, you have some ideas in mind, like I want to make this, I want to make that, but then you realize that when you are upcycling, you can't just go to a fabric shop and say like, oh, I'm gonna buy this pink fabric, I'm gonna buy this fabric, I'm gonna buy that fabric. But what you do is you have to go to the secondhand shop or look from your friends and family, like, do you have any clothes that I can upcycle that you no longer use? And therefore the availability of materials become very limited. So it's a bit challenging, because like the idea you had in mind might end up very different when executing the design, because you are dependent on the fabric that you eventually can come across in the secondhand market, because I only use secondhand materials.
Okay, so the initial idea can be very different from the realization, because we see what's available in the and around us, right? Okay, so what about Mr. Rizman? What is your opinion about the challenges or obstacles during production process for sustainable fashion products?
Basically, I believe the challenge is not more on the production itself, because like Dr. Asliza said, here in Malaysia, there's a lot of resources for the youth governments. There's a lot of materials that we can do for the to redesign or to create new product from the youth government. But then I'm more preferring on the challenge to market the product itself, because I believe all the fashion designers have a creativity to create new product from the youth governments or from the sustainable fashion product itself. But to market the product itself, it's a new challenge, because it's not about what you design, what's your concept, but it's how you market the product or you market your brand. That's I'm emphasize the fashion students to create early fashion brand during their study in the fashion school or in the faculty. So when you create the fashion brand earlier, your brand is more established in a short time, especially if you are promoting the sustainable fashion in the early stage. Then you have an advantage for the brand for the sustainable fashion. Besides, if you talk about production itself, of course, I believe there is a questions about the cost. Currently, the cost for the sustainably fashion material, like eco-friendly fabric dye, or the material itself is higher than the normal one, the mass market one. So that's one of the challenges. But then I'm referring to the concept of the sustainable fashion itself, in reuse or recycle what you have, like our third speaker, the influencer, right? Basically, she doing from the used material, used garments, used product to create new one. So yes, for the economic scale to create more product, yeah, of course you need to get more materials or sustainable resources But then to start as a fashion student or as a new designer, you can use garments or use material to create a new one. So that's why I'm focusing. I'm more focusing on the marketing and the branding itself to promoting the sustainable fashion.
Okay, so basically the challenge is more to the marketing process, right? So you really need to start early. Like Miss Diana here, she started early and she has the time to build her brand and to know what actually people prefer. Okay, so what about Dr. Azliza? Because Dr. Azliza has a group of students who are doing the project. And as I understand, as a lecturer myself, students always complain about difficulties. So maybe you can share with us what are the difficulties or challenges on the production process?
In academics, right? In academics, of course, the challenges are that the students have is number one is to spend on the material. So introduce the upcycle project. At first they were happy because they thought, gaining old clothes would not be as difficult as getting the new ones in the shop, and probably might not be as expensive as it was. But after a while, when we explain the cleaner procedure to cycle garments, then they started to see that the hectic of the preparing the material is not as easy as they thought. Okay, number one is, of course, like Mrs. Diana said just now, what you had in mind is not probably what you can grab in the market or in the sources of your old clothes. So you have to make adjustment to the design. You have to make to redesign or adapt to what fabric that you get in the market or in the wherever sources that you get from. So sometimes to early designers, to young designers, they become quite frustrating, especially when you only have like 14 weeks to finish the job. So kind of work, if a student is determined or really committed, have high interest in sustainable fashion, they should stay consistent with their effort to be very creative to overcome the difficulties. Right. If they want to be a designer in this field, in this using the theme of sustainable fashion, they have to start early and they have to start with keep the costs at minimal. So so that they learn how to overcome the production costs later on. Because once they are already known for the concept and theme that they wanted to do, then they can explore the technology material, like that use the recycled material from plastic bottles, or that kind of thing. Because if you want to get that kind of material here in our side of the country, is quite expensive, I think. So yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for your insight, Dr. Aziza. Okay, next question is Chitra from Ming Chuan University. I think this is a specific question for Ms. Diana Rikasari. I'd like to ask more about the approaches for us as fashion students to start our own business. As you mentioned, we can leverage the social media platform and share content there about sustainable brands. I was wondering why this approach is suggested. So this is, I think, for Mrs. Diana Rikasari and for Mr. Rizman to answer regarding the social media platform. Okay, maybe Mr. Rizman can go first. You're still mute. Mr. Rizman, can you unmute?
All right.
Thank
Okay,
you.
the question is about what we can do or how we can utilize the social media or digital platform to start a fashion business. Okay, so basically, first, why social media or digital platform? Because it's more easier, and for the young generations, it's more friendly to young generation. Secondly, when you set up a fashion brand through the digital platform or social media, you can easily what we call it as a guide your branding, your fashion branding into what you want. Basically, like our influencer redirecting the fashion brand as a sustainable fashion, or rework or redesign the fashion. So you can create because the branding itself will show to the audience, to the consumer, what is your value, what is your why you choose the branding, the brand itself, and in terms of the sustainable fashion, you can put it your brand as a sustainable fashion to educate your consumer, your audience, why they must choose you, why they must choose your product, etc. So the third one, utilize the social media, like Dr. Asliza said. It might be if you create a sustainable fashion product, the process itself, the hard work, the effort, you can document it as a video or as a content to show how much effort, how hard to create the product. From the awareness or the content that you make for the production of the sustainable fashion product, then the audience will know the product itself has a higher value. So, of course, if they know or they accept it as a higher value product, then they are willing to pay higher for your product. So that's why that's how you can start your fashion brand business or your fashion business through digital platform and social media. I believe our influencer also do the same things, show to their audience, show to her audience what is all about the sustainable fashion, what she did for the product, what she has gone through for the product, what is the effort she did for the product. So the audience already accept it and know that the product is a higher value with the sustainable fashion element. So I believe how you can make it through the social media is more easier. And then luckily, the young generation is more internet friendly, so they can manipulate it, they can utilize it to make sure that the business will grow. It's not like in a short time, but it takes times. Maybe can our influencer Diana can can share more experience on the social media platform.
Okay, please, Mrs. Diana Rikasari, maybe you can continue with the explanation.
I completely agree with all the points expressed by Mr. Rizman. The thing about sustainable fashion is, though, even though it is a very crucial it's a very crucial topic for the environment, but unfortunately it is thus when it comes to the awareness among the people in general, it's such at an early stage. So there's a lot of education that needs to be done to make people understand what is sustainable fashion, why do we need to to support sustainable fashion, why do we need to recycle, why we need to upcycle. So I think we are still in a very early stage of educating people. So social media platform is the best way to educate people, hence why we should do a lot of storytelling, explaining the journey, the process of what happens when you upcycle a product, so they appreciate that why we do this, how we do this, how long it takes to create a product, why we sell it at a higher cost than a typical fast fashion clothing item. So I think social media platform is the best way to story tell your journey as a fashion designer so people can value you better. And also because it is such at an early stage, if you don't document and promote yourself via social media, you will only be talking to a very small segment, maybe in your country. Whereas like Mr. Rizman just also said in his previous presentation that in Southeast Asia, sustainable fashion upcycling is not as big yet, not like in America or in European countries. So if you are upcycling, people are still not educated about it, and then you're only selling it through a shop in a boutique in Malaysia or in Jakarta, you're going to be reaching a very small segment, and that's going to be a disbenefit for you as a fashion designer because you've worked so hard. So you need to put yourself out there on the internet so that more people can see your work, like the whole world can see your work, because it happens to be that perhaps your customers will not even come from Malaysia or Indonesia. Your customers will be coming from the US or from Europe, because like it or not, my customers for my upcycling products are mainly from US and from European countries, because they already understand what upcycling is. They are very into sustainability and sustainable fashion, so they are willing to pay. Whereas in my own country, Indonesia, people will be like, oh, that's so expensive. Why do I need to buy this? I'd rather buy from Zara. So there's a lot of education that still needs to happen. And so therefore, while you're in the process of educating people, you also want to make money, right? So you want to look for customers out there, which might not be in your country. So make sure you put yourself on a global platform so that more and more people can just view you and can shop your goods online.
Okay, thank you very much for the inspirational answer. And unfortunately, this is our last session and a last question. I think I have to address this question because I realized that the lady in the room already raised her hand, and she also wrote her question in the chat room. And this is one of Mrs. Diana Rikasari's fan. So this is for you, actually. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Fana from Indonesia. I want to ask Ms. Diana Rikasari how to start a small business fashion for an only fashion design vocational high school graduate like me. What should I prepare first for starting a small business?
Oh wow, that is not an easy question. I think
Yes.
because now in the digital era, the first, well, in my opinion, the first would have a page on the internet. You have to have a platform, at least maybe on Instagram or on TikTok, where you can promote your business to introduce yourself. And if you want to sell your products online, maybe as a high schooler or as a university student, it might be complicated for you to own your own website. So instead of making your own website to sell your goods, you can join a marketplace instead. There's so many marketplaces now that you can just join and sell your goods at. And that's basically it in the internet world. Like, the world is yours, but then you also have to learn how to promote the products, how to make a viral content, how to use the right hashtag so that your product can be searched by other people. And if you have some investment, you can try to offer endorsements to some influencers Or if you are in a marketplace, you can use the affiliate program where you ask other people to recommend your products. So I think the answer is simple, is like nowadays you just have to sell online and understand how things work online. And yeah.
Okay, so basically Tufana, you need to use the social media platform wisely, okay? So what Ms. Diana Rikasari meant is make a viral content. It's a positive viral content regarding your fashion product. Okay, so that is all for today. So before, um, yes, sorry, Miss Diana.
Sorry, I
Did
just wanted to,
you?
yeah, I just wanted to add a little, like if you're still in school, you can also start promoting yourself through your friends actually. Like I'm pretty sure in schools and universities you have lots of bazaars or exhibitions or like events. You can open a booth there, start selling your products. That's how you get people to know your products also. So yeah, just wanted to add that.
Okay, thank you. So that is another option for promoting yourself through your friends. We've heard some insightful perspective from our speakers so far, and we look forward to more discussion as we proceed. Before we end this seminar, allow me to make a closing statement about our topic today. Upcycling involves creatively reusing and redesigning items to give them a new purpose or aesthetic. It not only reduces the amount of clothing and textiles that end up in landfills, but also conserve resources that will have been used to produce entirely new garments. By utilizing existing materials and garments, upcycling aligns with the principle of sustainability as it reduces the environmental impact associated with the fashion industry. In summary, upcycling is a sustainable fashion practice that promotes resource efficiency, waste reduction, and the reuse of materials, making it an integral part of sustainable fashion initiatives. Thank you all for joining us today, and let's continue our exploration of sustainable fashion for a better future.
Okay, thank you to all the speakers for the amazing insight, and thank you for Mrs. Faradila for the summary. And we hope that this seminar provide you with useful information that you can implement in your own work. And if you have any additional questions about related topic we discussed today, please feel free to reach out to our team. And before we move to the giveaway announcement, I would like to remind all of the participants to fill the feedback link to claim the certificate. And for the participant from the associate universities from Malaysia, to please fill the re-registration link in the chat column. Okay, and after some observation and consideration, the committee has chosen 10 winners from the participants. And after being mentioned, the winners are expected to contact the committee through the contact list on the chat column to claim the prize. And for the winner, first we have Mr. Muhammad Fawad Nuri, Salma Halimatus, Citra Hartono, Fana, Syarifah Niswatul Haira, Alia Rizky, Regina Simamora, Shirley Ersa Putri, Mega Oktavianti, and Naila Nabila. And congratulations to all the chosen participants for winning the giveaway, and don't forget to claim the prize by contacting the committee. And before we end our agenda, it will not be complete without a photo session. So please turn on your camera and we will begin the session assisted by the operator. So everyone can see yourself in the screen, and please be ready to take a picture. 3, 2, 1, pose. And then the next slide. Okay. 3, 2, 1, pause. Next slide. Okay. Okay, 3, 2, 1, pause. Please show us your beautiful smile. Okay, that was so many slides, and thank you everyone for coming here. And so as I have mentioned before in the beginning, this is only the pre-event of Swastamita. And the main event of Swastamita consists of showcase, exhibition, and the fashion show. And it will be held on October 21st at Cornerstone 23 Pascal, Bandung. And I would like to take a moment to thank the lecturers, sponsor, and spokesperson who helped this webinar possible, and also to thank the audience for the participation and enthusiasm in today's webinar. We believe that the information presented here today will be beneficial to all who attend. And then again, I would like to remind all the participants, please do not forget to fill in the feedback link and not to leave the WhatsApp group before the certificate link is given. And thank you again for joining us today. We appreciate your time and hope to see you again soon.